Hello and welcome to In Focus Kentucky. I'm Mario Anderson. Each week on this program, we'll take a look at issues that matter to you right here in the Bluegrass State, and we'll talk to the lawmakers, community organizers, and people like you who help shape those policies. Today, we're looking at the crucial matter of homelessness, and you're going to hear from elected officials and some local nonprofit organizations to find out how they are dealing firsthand with this issue. This past week, Housing and Urban Development Secretary Ben Carson, along with Kentucky's Governor Matt Bevin and Congressman Andy Barr, all made stops in Lexington and Louisville to hear directly from local nonprofit housing providers about best practices when tackling the issue of homelessness.
Basically, the last few years of my life were kind of just a pattern of being homeless or being in a sober living house, being in jail, and then just kind of a cycle where I would, try to do good, the best that I could for a while, but I didn't have any kind of a program.
Matthew Cox says a friend helped him break this cycle by referring him to the Hope Center in Lexington, a recovery center that serves the homeless and at-risk populations by providing programs designed to treat the underlying causes of homelessness.
I was very isolated. I was very down. I was very depressed, down on myself. I honestly didn't have any kind of meaning in life, any kind of direction. I was pretty hopeless, and I really didn't know. I was kind of here as a last resort.
Cox, along with dozens of men and women who also are in the recovery program, received words of encouragement and hope from Kentucky's Governor Matt Bevin, Congressman Andy Barr, and Secretary of HUD Ben Carson.
We should celebrate men like this. We should applaud men like this. Men who are brave enough and bold enough to do what so many exactly in the same position as them don't have the intestinal fortitude to do. And that is to step up, to step forward, and to face head on the fact that they need to do better and want to do better.
The problem of addiction. Sometimes those of us who have not been affected by it, we say, oh, those people need to just get their act together. It's not that simple.
We need more resources. We need more innovative and creative ways to tackle this problem. And one of the top recommendations of the 6th Congressional District Drug Abuse Task Force was we need more help with transitional housing so that we get these folks not only through rehab, but through long-term, non-subsidized housing where there's work at the end of that process.
Joining me now is Polly Ruddick, and in 2017, Polly was named Director of Lexington's Office of Homelessness Prevention and Intervention, and she recently received the Lexington Partnership Award for Excellence as a result of efforts to minimize homelessness and panhandling in the Lexington community. Polly, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Now, I know that you are doing a lot of important work for the city of Lexington, so kind of give us an overview of what your office does.
So my office is kind of the umbrella organization that advocates for all of our partners. So we kind of represent on a broad scale all of the partners that touch a homeless person. So we advocate with hospitals, we advocate with housing providers, and they kind of all come together under our kind of umbrella.
Now, talk to us. I know that Lexington city leaders say that homelessness has decreased by 27% since 2014, but there's over 4,000 homeless citizens statewide. So what are some of those contributing factors to those numbers?
So there's a lot of things that contribute to homelessness. There's not one factor we can point to and say this caused homelessness. So things that people wouldn't normally think about that cause homelessness is domestic violence. So the richest person in Lexington can be homeless tomorrow just based on domestic violence. And then there's also affordable housing issues. So people live paycheck to paycheck to paycheck, and one crisis, one missed paycheck can send somebody into homelessness. So if you have to choose between going to the ER or paying your rent, fixing your car to go to work or paying your rent, you can be evicted tomorrow. We have a really high eviction rate. I know Lexington Fair Housing recently came out with a study about the evictions here in Lexington. We also have a lack of affordable housing. So what a lot of people don't realize is there's families and single adults in our shelter system that actually get income, that work full time and just can't afford their rents here in Lexington. So we continuously work with the affordable housing partners to get more investment in affordable housing and landlords to invest in our folks.
So I know that with all of that, data collection is important to kind of what you all do on a daily basis. And I know this past week was the annual point in time count. So how does that point in time count work? What is it? And then how does it play into the data collection for what you all do?
Kind of the same thing, the reasons people are homeless. We look at those fleeing domestic violence. We look at our mentally ill population. We get to do that once a year. So once a year in the last 10 days of January, we conduct what we call a Lex count. And our Lex count was Wednesday, January 24th. And it gives us about 24 hours to find all of what we consider homeless folks in Lexington and get them counted. It's kind of like a census for the federal government that they do every 10 years. It kind of gives you this year by year look at how the homeless population is trending. Are you having an effect on reducing just that one night, that single point in time? Are you reducing that one night? So we have slowly reduced that number from about 1,500 to about 1,000 since about 2014. Those are estimated numbers. But as long as we continue to see that single point in time night go down, we are having an effect. So our methodology doesn't change, and it's really the only thing in our system as far as social services that gives us an apples to apples comparison every single year about how we're doing and what our population really looks like.
There is a campaign that's going on with signs about Lex Gives and helping in panhandling. So there's always been a discrepancy on homelessness versus panhandling. So kind of touch on that and explain the differences to help people understand.
Homelessness is different than panhandling. The solutions are completely different. So when we talk about homeless and the solutions to end and reduce homelessness, we talk about housing. Housing ends homelessness. When you talk about panhandling, the thought process and the activity of panhandling, it's not a person, it's an activity. So you have to look at that solution a little different. What drives people to actually do the activity of panhandling? In Lexington, what we kind of looked around the nation for examples of successful anti-panhandling programs. Albuquerque came up as one of the really good ones. It's because that showed that these people wanted to work, and there's dignity in working, and they will not panhandle given the opportunity to work. And so that is the main difference between a homeless population and an activity of panhandling. So we at the city give those people and partner with the New Life Day Center to give those people an opportunity to work. The van's been full every single day since it started last April. They've cleaned up miles, over 250 miles of city roads, trash, litter. They keep Lexington beautiful for the rest of us. And you know, it's been successful as far as there's 5 individuals that were panhandling, active panhandling, got on the van, worked on the van, and now are in long-term employment programs. Said, you know, I do want to work. There's others that have said, you know what, I want to deal with my substance abuse, and have gone that route. So using this van as kind of an access point, dignity in working, anti-panhandling, it's given them an avenue to do other things.
Now, if someone in the city of Lexington is in need or wants some shelter, how do they get in touch with your office, and what are some of the steps that they should take to get help? United
Way has a 211 program, so you can pick up your phone and dial 211 just like you would 911 or 311. You can also text your 5-digit zip code to 898-211. If you don't want to call, you don't have any minutes on your phone, you can text with them back and forth, find a Wi-Fi spot. You can go to their website, uwbg211.org, and look up any resource. They are the keeper of all resources. They have the most up-to-date database of resources here in Lexington. So whether you're looking for food, for shelter, medical care, dental care, you can find all of that at 211.
And once again, Polly, we appreciate all the hard work you're doing for the city of Lexington, and we appreciate you making time for us here on In Focus.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
All right. Well, coming up after the break, we'll be joined by Louisville Metro Councilman Bill Hollander and Natalie Harris of Louisville's Coalition for the Homeless to discuss a proposed ordinance they say will help Louisville's homeless population. Stick with us. You're watching In Focus, Kentucky.